There are moments in life that refuse to be explained by logic. You can call them coincidence, fate, destiny, or divine timing. But when you stand in the middle of one, no definition feels big enough to hold it. Imagine this. You lock eyes with someone for the very first time, and before a word escapes your lips, before a name is exchanged, something in your chest softens. Your mind may be confused, but your soul feels oddly at home. It is not the rush of infatuation, not the intoxication of desire. It is quieter, steadier. It feels like recognition, like your spirit just whispered, "Here, you are safe here." Carl Jung, the Swiss psychologist who spent a lifetime studying the patterns of the human psyche, called this phenomenon synchronicity. He believed that when events line up in ways too precise to be dismissed as random, they carry meaning. They are not accidents but signposts. They are the universe, or perhaps the unconscious, speaking in symbols. Synchronicity is not about luck. It is about alignment. It is about the invisible threads that pull us towards certain people at certain times. Not by chance, but by necessity. Most of us are taught that relationships begin in logical places. Shared interests, mutual attraction, proximity, timing. These are the checkboxes society hands us. Do they look good? Do we like the same music? Are we both ready for commitment? We approach love as if it were a business transaction, something to be calculated, scheduled, and agreed upon. But the most powerful connections defy this logic. They begin in silence. They begin in the space between words. They begin in the invisible realm of resonance. It's the reason you can meet hundreds of people and feel nothing, then stumble across one stranger and feel everything. Their presence hums at the same frequency as yours, striking a key on the piano of your soul that you didn't even know existed. Suddenly a dormant part of you wakes up, and it doesn't feel like they brought it into you. It feels like they mirrored it back. That is the secret of synchronicity. You don't fall in love with them, not exactly. You fall in love with the version of yourself that rises to the surface when they're near. You fall in love with the softness you thought you had lost, or the fire you forgot you carried, or the courage you didn't know you possessed. They don't complete you, they reflect you. Synchronicity has less to do with perfect circumstances, and more to do with perfect timing. These encounters rarely show up when life is neat and tidy. More often, they appear when you are cracked open, when you've been broken enough to be receptive to a deeper truth. Not when you are fully healed, not when your resume of personal growth is flawless, but when there's just enough space in your heart for the light to enter. That is why the soul's timing is never wrong. The people who enter at those crucial moments do not arrive because of coincidence. They arrive because you are ready, ready to be reminded, ready to be awakened, ready to be mirrored. They arrive as teachers, catalysts, sometimes as storms. They shake your world not to destroy it, but to expose the parts of you that have been sleeping. Think about it. When someone awakens something inside you, it's not because they handed you a brand new gift. They simply mirrored back a piece of yourself that had been hidden. That is why these encounters feel both brand new and ancient at the same time. On the surface, you may be meeting for the first time, but at a soul level, it feels like recognition, as though you have always known them. And maybe in a way, you have, because what you are recognizing is not them, but yourself. This mirror effect can be breathtakingly beautiful. Someone enters your life, and suddenly you see your own capacity for tenderness, strength, or creativity in ways you had forgotten. But the mirror can also be ruthless. It can reflect your wounds as clearly as your gifts. Sometimes the person who feels like destiny is not there to stay, but to show you the raw places you've been avoiding. They force you to see the shadow, the pain, the unfinished healing. And while that might hurt, it is never wasted, because the soul is less interested in your comfort than in your growth. Here's the part most people don't want to hear. Not every soul connection is meant to last. Some are not your forever. Some are your awakening. And if you confuse the two, you risk clinging to a ghost while letting go of a guide. We are conditioned to equate intensity with destiny. If it feels powerful, we assume it must be permanent. But intensity is often the very sign that this connection is here to shift you, not to settle with you. They are here to move you closer to yourself, not to be your lifelong companion. The pain of losing such a connection is real. It can leave cracks in your heart that never fully close. But within those cracks, something else emerges. Clarity, awareness, the kind of wisdom you could not have earned without them. They come like a wildfire, and when they leave, the landscape of your soul is never the same. The question that matters. So how do you know? How do you know whether someone is your soulmate or simply a mirror? A reflection of what still needs healing? The truth is, you may not know right away, and maybe you're not supposed to. Maybe the question isn't who are they to me, but rather what part of me are they showing me? Because the lesson is not always in the permanence of the bond, but in the reflection it offers. If they mirror your wholeness, you will feel peace, safety, calm. If they mirror your wounds, you may feel chaos, obsession, longing. Neither is wrong, but both are messages. Both are teachers. Both are part of the journey. And the soul's timing, whether for a season or for a lifetime, is never wrong. Jung once suggested that the unconscious mind arranges our outer reality in ways that mirror our inner reality. In other words, your soul is a magnet. It attracts not what you wish for, but what you are. Synchronicity, then, is not just about meeting the right person. It is about meeting yourself through them. The connection is less about chance and more about readiness. They appear because you are at a threshold, and their role, whether temporary or permanent, is to walk you across it. A living example. Think of the people you've met who changed you in ways you can't explain. Maybe it was a stranger you only knew for a week. Maybe it was a friend who entered your life during a season of pain. Maybe it was a lover who broke your heart wide open. At the time, it might have felt like chaos, but looking back, you can see it. The timing, the lesson, the shift. You can see that they arrived exactly when you needed them, not when you wanted them. That is synchronicity at work. That is the soul's timing. The first chapter of awakening. So when you meet someone and something stirs inside you, something beyond attraction, beyond charm, pause. Don't rush to label it as love or destiny. Instead, ask yourself, what is this moment trying to awaken in me? Because the truth is, every synchronistic meeting carries a message. And the only way to hear it is to be still enough, present enough, and courageous enough to listen. This is where the journey begins, with synchronicity, with resonance, with the recognition that the people who cross our paths are never accidents. They are mirrors. They are guides. They are storms. They are teachers. And whether they stay or go, they are always right on time. Carl Jung once said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate." Nowhere is this more painfully obvious than in the realm of relationships. How many times have you looked back at your past and thought, why do I keep ending up in the same story? Just with different characters, different names, different faces, different beginnings. Yet somehow the heartbreak feels eerily familiar. It's tempting to throw our hands up and call it bad luck, or to believe the universe is playing some cruel joke. But the truth is far less mystical, and far more personal. We do not attract what we want. We attract what we are. More specifically, we attract what we have not healed. The echo of unfinished wounds. Think back to your earliest experiences of love. Often not romantic, but familial. Did you feel seen? Did you feel enough? Did you feel safe? Or did you learn in subtle ways that love was conditional? That affection had to be earned? That being yourself wasn't always welcome? These early imprints leave invisible scars, and those scars become magnets. A child who grew up fearing abandonment will unconsciously find partners who reinforce that fear, partners who pull away, partners who leave, partners who prove the inner story right. Someone who grew up feeling unworthy will attract those who withhold affection, who treat them as less than, who constantly test their value. The wound seeks repetition, not to punish you, but to get your attention. Pain in this sense is not cruelty. It is communication. It is your soul saying, look here, this part of you still bleeds. Patterns as teachers. When we don't recognize this dynamic, we blame the person. We call them heartless, toxic, or cruel. And maybe in some cases they were. But even then, there is something deeper happening beneath the surface. Because every painful relationship acts as a mirror. It doesn't create your wound, it reflects it. If someone abandons you, it mirrors your hidden fear of being abandoned. If someone makes you chase their love, it mirrors the belief that you must earn affection. If someone is emotionally unavailable, it mirrors your own avoidance of vulnerability. Each heartbreak is less about them, and more about you, about the story you are still carrying, the wound you are still protecting, the healing you are still avoiding. The classroom of pain. It helps to reframe broken relationships not as curses, but as classrooms. Every rejection is a syllabus. Every betrayal is a lesson plan. Every ghosting is a teacher, however harsh. The goal is not to stay enrolled forever. The goal is to finally graduate. But here's the hard truth. You cannot graduate if you refuse to look at the curriculum. If you distract yourself with blame, if you bury the pain under new relationships, if you keep running from the mirror, you will repeat the class again and again. The names will change, but the lesson will remain. And the universe, consistent as ever, will send the same energy in new disguises until you stop running and start learning. The cycle of attraction. Consider the person who repeatedly falls for emotionally unavailable partners. At first, it feels magnetic. The intensity is intoxicating. But soon, the pattern reveals itself. Distance, withdrawal, lack of commitment. Over time, the pain becomes unbearable. Why does this keep happening? Because deep down, they too are emotionally unavailable to themselves. They avoid their own vulnerability, so they are drawn to partners who avoid it too. It feels familiar. It feels like home, even if that home is built on dysfunction. Familiarity is not love, it is repetition. And until the wound is healed, the attraction will remain. The mirror of healing. The good news is this. The mirror doesn't only reflect your wounds, it also reflects your growth. When you begin to heal, when you finally sit with your pain instead of fleeing from it, the quality of your relationships begins to shift. Suddenly, the people who once felt magnetic begin to feel chaotic. The intensity you once mistook for passion now feels draining. And the partners you used to overlook, the calm, stable, consistent ones, start to feel safe, even attractive. This is not coincidence. It is alignment. It is proof that the inner work is working. Because as your frequency changes, so does your orbit. You stop being drawn to what wounds you, and start being drawn to what nourishes you. That's how healing rewrites attraction. The trap of blame. One of the most common mistakes people make is blaming the other. They broke me. They ruined me. They wasted my time. And yes, maybe they did hurt you. But blaming them keeps you powerless. Blaming them keeps you stuck in the same classroom, waiting for closure that will never come. The shift happens when you ask a different question. What did this experience reveal in me that needed healing? That is where your power lies, because you cannot control their behavior, but you can control how you respond to the mirror they held up. You can choose to see the wound, face it, and heal it. Or you can choose to ignore it and repeat it. The unconscious made conscious. So how do you begin to make the unconscious conscious? How do you start to interrupt the pattern instead of reliving it? 1. Identify the pattern. Write down the themes in your past relationships. What keeps repeating? Abandonment, betrayal, emotional distance? 2. Trace it back. Ask yourself, when was the first time I felt this? Often it leads back to childhood. An unmet need. A wound never acknowledged. 3. Sit with the wound. Instead of running, allow yourself to feel it. Name it. Validate it. Healing doesn't come from denial. It comes from recognition. 4. Reframe the story. You are no longer the powerless child. You are the adult who can meet your own needs, who can rewrite the script, who can choose differently. 5. Test new choices. When the familiar pattern presents itself again, and it will, choose differently. Set the boundary. Walk away sooner. Say no to what drains you. This is the process of bringing the unconscious into light. And as Jung taught, once it becomes conscious, it stops directing your life from the shadows. Pain is portal. None of this means the pain disappears. Healing is not about erasing the past. It is about transforming the way you carry it. Every heartbreak becomes less of a wound and more of a portal, an entry, point to deeper self-awareness, to stronger boundaries, to a healthier vibration. You stop asking, why does this keep happening to me? And you start saying, this happened for me. It showed me what I needed to see. That shift changes everything. Moving from lessons to wholeness. The ultimate goal is not to avoid pain altogether. That's impossible. The goal is to no longer confuse pain with love, to no longer mistake intensity for destiny, to no longer accept hunger when you deserve wholeness. The more you heal, the less tolerance you have for the patterns that once consumed you. And that's when synchronicity works in your favor. That's when the right souls appear, not as mirrors of your wounds, but as mirrors of your wholeness. That is when relationships stop being classrooms of survival and start becoming playgrounds of growth. There are people who step into your life like lightning. You weren't looking for them, you weren't prepared, and yet the moment they appear, the world tilts. Everything you thought you knew about love, connection, or destiny suddenly feels small compared to the magnitude of this encounter. Their presence consumes you. Their absence feels unthinkable. And so you begin to believe, this must be it. This must be forever. But here's the truth. The one most of us resist. Not all soulmates are meant to stay. Some arrive not as lifelong partners but as storms, powerful, disruptive, unforgettable. They don't come to fit neatly into your plans. They come to awaken you. And while their departure can feel devastating, it does not make the connection less real. It simply means its purpose has been fulfilled. The intensity that feels like destiny. When we first encounter this kind of soulmate, the energy is overwhelming. The connection doesn't build slowly. It strikes like fire. Conversations stretch until dawn. Silences feel comfortable, charged with meaning. You find yourself revealing pieces of your soul you've never shared before. The chemistry is undeniable, magnetic, intoxicating. It's easy, almost natural, to interpret this intensity as permanence. After all, how could something that feels so extraordinary not be destined to last forever? But intensity and permanence are not the same thing. Intensity is a spark. Permanence is a foundation. One ignites, the other sustains. Many confuse the storm for the home, but storms don't exist to house you. They exist to break apart what no longer serves you, to clear the sky, to reveal the truth hidden beneath the debris. The purpose of a storm. Why do these short-lived yet life-changing connections happen? Because sometimes you need a storm to shake you awake. You need a force so undeniable that it tears down the illusions you've been clinging to. Maybe you've been living small, accepting less than you deserve, burying your voice beneath silence. Then they arrive and suddenly you remember your worth. Or maybe you've been avoiding the wounds of your past, convincing yourself you're healed. Then they enter, and in their presence, your old pain resurfaces so vividly you can no longer ignore it. This is why their role is sacred, even if it's temporary. They don't come to give you comfort. They come to give you clarity. They don't come to soothe your fears. They come to trigger them so you'll finally confront them. They don't come to complete you. They come to show you the work you still have left to do. Real but not forever. When the storm subsides, when they leave, you're left standing in the quiet aftermath. And the mind starts spinning. Was it real? Did I imagine it? Was I foolish to believe in it? The answer is simple. Yes, it was real. The love, the connection, the recognition, all of it mattered. But real doesn't always mean permanent. Some soulmates come to stay. Others come to awaken. Both are valid. Both are necessary. Think of it this way. A teacher in school may only guide you for one semester. Their presence is temporary. But the knowledge they leave behind shapes you for life. In the same way, the soulmate who arrives like wildfire may not walk with you forever, but they leave you with wisdom, self-awareness, and growth you could not have gained otherwise. The confusion of intensity. The most painful trap we fall into is mistaking intensity for destiny. We believe that if a connection shakes us to our core, it must mean forever. But intensity is not a promise. It is an initiation. It is the universe's way of jolting us into awareness. The irony is that the very qualities that make these relationships feel so consuming, passion, obsession, urgency, are often signs that they are not meant to last. Because lasting love doesn't feel like drowning. It feels like breathing. It doesn't burn you alive. It warms you steadily. The storm is not the home. It is the force that shows you where your true home must be built. Karmic connections. Many spiritual traditions call these storm-like encounters karmic connections. They are relationships rooted not in comfort, but in correction. They exist to reveal what has been hidden, to bring unconscious patterns to the surface, to force growth through discomfort. Karmic connections can feel addictive. You know the relationship is unstable, yet you can't look away. You know the cycle of highs and lows is unhealthy, yet you crave it. Why? Because the unresolved parts of you are magnetized to the mirror they provide. Until you heal, you will be drawn back again and again. But once you learn the lesson, once you face the wound, they lose their grip. What once felt irresistible begins to feel toxic. What once felt like destiny begins to feel like chaos. That shift is not weakness. It is proof of healing. The danger of holding on. The greatest suffering comes not from their leaving, but from our refusal to let go. We romanticize the pain. We replay the memories. We convince ourselves that if we hold tighter, if we prove our devotion, if we sacrifice enough, we can make the temporary eternal. But clinging to a storm will only destroy you, because storms are not meant to be held. They are meant to pass. Holding on keeps you trapped in the loop. It keeps you tied to a chapter that has already ended. It keeps you from opening to the love that is meant to stay. The gift of goodbye. As painful as it is, every goodbye carries a gift. The fire they brought burned away your illusions. The crack they left in your heart created space for light to enter. The questions they stirred pushed you deeper into your own soul. They may not have stayed, but they left you with something priceless. Yourself. In losing them, you found the parts of you that had been asleep. You discovered your capacity for resilience, your willingness to heal, your hunger for truth. Their absence became the very catalyst for your evolution. Awakening not forever. So when you find yourself mourning a connection that felt like destiny, but ended too soon, remember this. It was destiny, just not the kind you imagined. Their role was not to walk beside you for a lifetime. Their role was to awaken you, to shake you, to redirect you. They were not your forever. They were your mirror. And without them, you might never have faced the wounds you carried, the patterns you repeated, the lies you told yourself. Their gift was not permanence. Their gift was awakening, honoring the storm. Instead of resenting their departure, honor their role. Bless the chaos they brought because it was sacred. Thank them for the mirror, even if it broke your heart. Recognize that not every soulmate is meant to be a spouse, a partner, a lifelong companion. Some are meant to be catalysts, guides, sparks that ignite your transformation. And when you honor the storm for what it was, you free yourself to receive what comes next. You free yourself to recognize the difference between intensity and peace, between addiction and love, between awakening and forever. Carl Jung once said, "The meeting of two personalities is like the contact of two chemical substances. If there is any reaction, both are transformed." But there is a crucial distinction often overlooked. The reaction only transforms when both substances are stable and whole. When one is incomplete, unhealed, or dependent, the reaction becomes unstable, volatile, even destructive. Love, in its purest form, begins not with hunger, but with wholeness. And yet, far too many of us pursue relationships from a place of emptiness. We look for someone to fill what we have not yet filled ourselves. We seek validation where we should be giving it to ourselves. We chase passion where we should be cultivating peace. And this, inevitably, leads to patterns of pain, disappointment, and chaos. Hunger versus wholeness. Hunger is desperate. It is needy. It is an attempt to patch a void that was never meant to be patched by someone else. When you are hungry for love, you attract what mirrors that hunger. People who are emotionally unavailable, inconsistent, or destructive. They seem magnetic because they resonate with the emptiness you carry. But this attraction is not love. It is survival, addiction disguised as passion. Wholeness, on the other hand, is magnetic in a different way. It is calm, it is steady. It does not need to prove itself. A person who is whole does not chase. They attract. They do not cling. They align. Wholeness carries its own energy, and the universe responds to that energy with people who match it. The frequency of love. Here is a simple truth. Energy does not lie. Energy does not respond to desire alone. It responds to vibration, to frequency, to self-worth. If your inner world is chaotic, relationships will mirror that chaos. If your inner world is full of insecurity, you will attract people who echo insecurity back. If your inner world is hungry, relationships will reflect neediness, intensity, and instability. This is not punishment. It is consistency. The universe does not give you random partners. It gives you mirrors of your own energy. Change your frequency, and the people you attract will change with it, filling your own cup. The first step toward whole love is learning to fill your own cup. This means cultivating self-worth, self-awareness, and self-love. It means healing wounds that have haunted your choices for years. It means facing your shadows, not ignoring them. When you are whole, you stop looking for rescue. You stop hoping someone else will complete you. You stop chasing intensity that leaves you empty. Instead, you choose partners who reflect your peace, your clarity, and your values. The difference is subtle but profound. One type of connection feels addictive, draining, and unstable. The other feels effortless, expansive, and nurturing, breaking patterns of dependency. Many of us fall into love out of necessity rather than alignment. We confuse need with desire, intensity with passion, chaos with connection. This creates cycles of dependency that perpetuate pain. You may find yourself drawn to unavailable partners because you are emotionally unavailable to yourself. You may tolerate instability because you have not yet learned your worth. You may chase passion because you fear stillness. Breaking these patterns requires self-examination and courage. It requires recognizing the moments when you settle for less than you deserve, when you compromise your boundaries, when you sacrifice your values for connection. It requires deciding finally that you are worth more than temporary highs or addictive drama. Alignment, not perfection. Wholeness does not mean perfection. No one is complete or flawless. Wholeness means standing in your truth, embracing your shadows, and holding space for your growth. It means knowing that you can face life's challenges without collapsing into fear, without relying on someone else to stabilize you. It means being capable of love not out of need, but out of choice. When you meet someone from a place of wholeness, the relationship transforms naturally. The connection is not forced. There are no manipulations or games. There is no anxiety masquerading as passion. There is alignment. You do not fall into the trap of trying to mold someone into your version of love, because you already know your own value. The science of attraction. Think of it as emotional physics. Like, if you carry energy of lack, you attract partners who reflect lack. If you carry energy of wholeness, you attract partners who reflect wholeness. It is not magic, it is the natural law of resonance. And it is why the people who once seemed perfect for your broken self may no longer hold your attention once you heal. The former intensity no longer feels magnetic. The chaos no longer feels familiar. And the people who resonate with your healed whole self begin to appear effortlessly. These are the relationships that endure, not because they are drama-filled or addictive, but because they are stable, honest, and mutually nourishing. Love that builds, not burns. When two whole individuals meet, love does not ignite chaos. It does not leave you questioning your worth. It builds, it nurtures, it amplifies the joy and peace you already possess. This is the love that lasts, because it is based on alignment, not addiction. A whole person does not collapse when their partner is imperfect. They do not fear silence, withdrawal, or disagreement. They do not feel incomplete when the other person is absent. Their foundation is already solid. They bring presence, stability, and clarity, not because they are perfect, but because they are whole. The journey to wholeness. The path to whole love begins with the work within yourself. It starts with facing your wounds, embracing your fears, and healing the parts of you that once sought validation from others. It requires patience, honesty, and a commitment to your own growth. But the rewards are transformative. Once you are whole, relationships stop being survival mechanisms. They become portals for growth, joy, and sacred partnership. You no longer chase or beg. You no longer tolerate what drains you. You no longer confuse intensity for love. You attract connection that resonates with your peace, your purpose, and your self-worth. Conclusion: wholeness before love. Love that begins with hunger is fleeting. Love that begins with wholeness is enduring. One brings chaos, desperation, and dependency. The other brings alignment, growth, and mutual respect. The difference lies not in the other person, it lies in you. The journey is not about finding someone to complete you. It is about becoming someone who cannot be incomplete. Someone who stands whole, capable, and open. Only then does love find you, not by chance, but by resonance. We grow up with stories, fairy tales, movies, family narratives. They all paint love as something eternal, unshakable, and inevitable. Once you find the one, you stay together forever. True love never fades. If it ends, it was never real. These narratives create expectations that are not only unrealistic but often harmful. Life has a way of teaching us that not every soul is meant to stay, and not every connection is permanent. And yet, the beauty and significance of the bond does not diminish because it was temporary. Every relationship carries its season, its lesson, and its mirror. The illusion of forever. Forever is a story we tell ourselves because it feels safe. We long for permanence because uncertainty scares us, but holding on to the illusion of forever can trap us in suffering. We cling to people who no longer fit our lives. We compromise our growth to keep a story alive. We shrink ourselves to make a bond endure. The reality is that relationships, like seasons, change. People grow in different directions. Energies shift. When your frequency evolves, some souls will naturally fall away, not because they are bad, not because you failed, but because alignment has shifted. True love is never meant to chain you. It is meant to expand you. And sometimes letting go is the most loving act of all. Understanding the mirror. Carl Jung said, "Everything that irritates us about others can lead us to an understanding of ourselves." Every conflict, every trigger, every disappointment in a relationship is a reflection. The people who challenge you, frustrate you, or hurt you are holding up a mirror to the parts of yourself that need attention. Think about it. The ex who left you questioning your worth was not just an enemy. They were a reflection of your fear of abandonment. The friend who betrayed your trust reflected your own avoidance of vulnerability. The partner who made you chase love mirrored the belief that affection must be earned. The key is to stop seeking closure from the other person. They are not the teacher. They are the mirror. The lesson lies in the reflection, not the action. By confronting what the mirror shows, you reclaim your power. You learn to recognize your patterns, face your wounds, and heal yourself. The danger of escaping the mirror. Many of us try to escape the mirror. We block people. We run to new relationships. We distract ourselves with busyness or self-sabotage. But the mirror does not disappear. It merely changes form. The energy returns again and again until we finally look with honesty and courage. Until we recognize our own shadows. We keep repeating the same cycles, often in slightly different packaging. Healing begins the moment you choose to see the reflection without blame, without judgment, without fear. The moment you ask, "What is this showing me about myself?" instead of, "Why did they do this to me?" You shift from victimhood to agency. You turn pain into insight. You turn heartbreak into a roadmap for growth. Meeting whole souls. After the heartbreaks, the cycles, the lessons, there comes a moment, a quiet, almost imperceptible shift. You stop chasing. You stop molding yourself to be acceptable. You stop hoping someone else will fill your void. And in that space, you finally meet yourself. This is the precursor to meeting a whole soul. A whole soul is not perfect. They have shadows, they make mistakes, they have their own work to do. But they are complete enough to stand in their truth, to face life without needing rescue, and to offer love without dependency. When two whole souls meet, there is recognition, not a dramatic, chaotic, all-consuming intensity, but a deep, steady resonance. Conversations feel effortless. Silences are comfortable. There are no games, no tests, no performance. Their presence does not fill a void. It amplifies the joy, peace, and clarity you already possess. Love that feels like home. This is love that does not consume. It calms, it honors. It allows you to be fully yourself without fear. It does not depend on constant affirmation because the foundation is already secure. Love with a whole soul is reciprocal, not transactional. It is transformative, not addictive. It elevates both individuals, rather than compensating for lack. You do not need this person to save you. You have already saved yourself. You do not need them to complete you. You have already completed yourself, and yet their presence enhances your life. Their energy aligns with yours. Their love mirrors your wholeness rather than your wounds. The freedom of alignment. When two whole souls meet, there is freedom. Freedom from the patterns of the past. Freedom from anxiety, obsession, or fear of loss. Freedom from clinging to people who no longer serve your growth. Freedom to honor the past, embrace the present, and step into the future without attachment to outcomes. This is the ultimate reward for the work of healing. The ability to engage in love from wholeness, not hunger. From choice, not need. From clarity, not desperation. The right person does not appear by accident. They are drawn to the frequency you now carry, the energy you have cultivated through self-work, growth, and reflection. Your role in attraction. The journey is clear. Stop searching outward for what is within. Stop seeking validation from others. Stop chasing intensity and temporary highs. Focus instead on becoming whole, conscious, and self-aware. Face your wounds. Sit with your shadows. Raise your standards. Elevate your frequency. When you do this, the universe responds. People who once seemed distant, unavailable, or incompatible begin to appear, not by chance, but through alignment. You no longer attract chaos, but resonance. You no longer settle for less, but attract more. The challenge. Here is the challenge. Inspired by Jung and the truths of the soul. Stop looking for love outside of yourself. Start looking within. Search for wholeness, clarity, and alignment. Heal the parts of you that have been wounded, overlooked, or abandoned. Love yourself fiercely and unapologetically, because the deepest, safest, most transformative love you will ever know is the one you cultivate with yourself. The connections that come after this self-work will reflect that love back. They will honor you. They will align with you. They will not complete you. They will rise with you. The awakening. Your soul has been whispering, nudging, and guiding you all along. Each heartbreak, each trigger, each lost love has been a teacher, a mirror, a spark. And now, the echoes of your past have led you to this point. You are awake enough, whole enough, and brave enough to receive love not as a need, but as a choice. No more chasing ghosts. No more clinging to intensity that burns and fades. No more confusing chaos for connection. You are ready. You are aligned. You are whole. And the love that finds you now will not require you to be anyone but yourself. This is the culmination of the journey. The surrender to growth. The recognition of mirrors. And the embrace of resonance. Love is no longer a search, a fixation, or a lifeline. It is a reflection of the wholeness you have created within. And in that reflection, you finally breathe freely, love fully, and rise as the soul you were always meant to be.